Like,
Was it the Ferdinand Van Ayer song?
I was like, you are the ocean's great waves.
Oh yes, that song.
And I couldn't remember it, and it was such a
Yeah.
classic. If we ran Nintendo, we're live, by the way.
Of course.
It's such a classic if we ran Nintendo moment with the terrible webcam and bad microphones and bad hair. I had different teeth back then, Ryan. Like all this stuff, man. Lots of. I didn't even have
like
kids.
a different person back
I was a. I don't even. Did I have a kid back then? I don't think so. I was married.
Because that was Fire Emblem Fates, so that would have been while I was still doing Game Moose, and you didn't really have a kid until like right about
2017.
Yeah.
April, yeah, it was because that was at 3DS. That was 3DS.
Yeah,
that game.
3DS.
Yeah, there you go. That's how
3DS.
you know. Yep.
It wasn't even the last Fire Emblem game on 3DS because there was a game after that. I think that was actually that one came out in 2017.
What was the one after? Oh, the remake.
The remake.
Echoes?
Shadows of Valentia. Yeah.
Wait, what was Echoes? Wasn't there? Maybe there's
Fire
another
Emblem
one.
Echoes, Shadows of Valentia.
Oh, okay. Got it. Oh man, what a chat, especially with Kevin here in the chat. Ryan Turford. Of course, we're just.
It could be worse. I mean, I haven't.
Could be worse.
I should go over to the Discordia and tell people we're actually live.
Oh, that's a good call. I could hit the record button on the Audacity. It's good to see you, Kevin Ainsworth. I'm really happy to see you, man. It's been a good day so far. I didn't get very much sleep last night, Ryan, and I thought that I was going to have to slam one of these to get up at 4:30 in the morning. But you know what?
Yeah.
I didn't slam it. I haven't even opened it. So there.
My God, it just remains unopened. Whereas I stayed up till 4 in the morning watching, of course, some cheesy horror movies, and it was a good time. Woke up at noon because I just do that, and life's been good.
I'm just trying. Do I have a fan or anything? Can you hear? It's just my PC.
I mean, I can't hear it.
Okay.
Discord probably filters it out. But,
yeah. We'll take care of it on the Audacity side of things. You got to keep that PC cool, if you know what I mean. Ryan Turford.
All right. I have informed everyone on the Discordia.
Okay.
We are now
Thank you.
Doing this.
Thank you, Kevin. Okay, so all right. Okay, Ryan.
Hey, Sean.
Hey everyone, it's me, Sean Capri. I'm glad you're here because you're listening to the most horse-powerful podcast on the internet. It's the Xbox Drive. I'm on a Skype call with my friend Ryan Turford, the weatherman on the moose who loves peanut butter. And on our journey today, let's talk about what I got on Amazon Prime and what the heck is Windows doing on an Xbox. And let's jump on into the Xbox Drive. Boom! There's a baby sleeping in the house. What am I doing?
Greater than X.
I waited, Ryan, for us to have our 1-year-old niece in the house for me to really go after it during nap time. So how are you, my friend?
I'm doing well.
I might be kicked out soon.
It looks like it's going to rain at least a little bit, Sean. It's partially cloudy outside, and we're going to, because I actually got some new shelves coming in behind me, Sean. You'll actually probably see them later this week when we record something cool. We're recording tomorrow night, and but we were going to go at them today, but it looks like it's going to go. It looks like it's going to rain today. So
how did you, like, you just about gave me whiplash. You went from a weather report to like plans for your room and somehow actually made it make sense, Ryan. What the heck? It was
all tied together. It's all pipes, Sean. It's because it all came back to the rain. So
now I get it. It's taken us until this point for me to understand. When I ask you how you're doing, weather impacts everything in your life, apparently. Like, I understand this.
Now you know, and knowing's half the battle, Sean. But the other thing, Sean, is I should have also just started with this, Sean, because I'm so hyped for something non-Xbox related, because of course the Sega Genesis Mini 2 is coming to North America, and I cannot wait, Sean, for that console. I still want one.
Welcome
to
the
Sega CD games on it, so I can't wait to play it.
Welcome to the most blast powerful podcast on the internet. It's the Sega Mega Drive. Ball. Do you get it?
I got
it's
that,
like
Sean.
the Mega Drive.
Again, we've been toying with the idea of doing like a Sega Drive one-off at some point.
Yeah.
So maybe we need to do that this year. Sega Mega Drive.
It's kind of like what Sega did with their consoles. You know, just like do one and then drop it altogether. Just get out of there.
Of course. Of course. Well, before we get into all that, Sean, we should probably clean the garage. because obviously we want to get into today's conversation. But before we do that, of course, if you're watching right here on youtube.com/carpoolgaming, don't forget to hit like on the video, subscribe to us if you haven't subscribed already, and then hit that notification bell to be notified whenever we have a new live stream like this one, or whenever we put up a new video on the channel. And we post lots of videos, pretty much something new every single day. So come check out the YouTube page if you haven't already. Also, if you're listening on audio feeds, don't forget to hit subscribe there as well as rate us if you're on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Also, if you want this show as well as some other shows a little bit early or some exclusive content like the Console War Room or the Geek Outs, hand it over to patreon.com/carpoolgaming. Throw a little tip in the old tip jar and out comes content. And last but not least, if you'd like an Xbox Drive t-shirt, or if you'd like, another Carpool Gaming branded t-shirt of some kind, head on over to our merch store, bit.ly/CPG merch is how you go about doing that. Also, this isn't on the docket, Sean, but I just thought of that while I was, doing my spiel. I want to say a huge thank you to everyone who's been checking out the YouTube channel since we launched Carpool Gaming, because we hit a big milestone this week, Sean, because we can finally apply for the YouTube Partner Program, which gives us a bunch of sweet benefits on the YouTube side of things. You'll be able to see our merch on the YouTube channel, which will be awesome, and you can grab it right there if you're interested, as well as a whole bunch of other things. So huge thank you to everyone who's been watching the videos, coming to watch the live streams. We couldn't be doing this without you guys, so huge thank you to everyone in the Carpool Gaming community for supporting the vision of Carpool Gaming, but then just coming and checking out the YouTube channel. We love you guys, of course.
Well said. Look at you. Yes, absolutely. Ryan, I have two thoughts on this as you were talking about this. I thought about, carpool gaming, cars, everything. I would love to see like an odometer go from like 3,999 to flip over to 4,000 to kind of celebrate this, and or achievement and or trophy and or non-existent reward system in Nintendo to say like 4,000 hours unlocked kind of thing. I think that would be kind of neat. And if anybody wants to do that for us, I will, give you like 20 ID at Xbox games or something, or at least a digital high five.
Just
I don't know.
Random.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
The random grab bag, just like you'd go get from like a local flea market or something like that. Instead of 20 random games, it's just 20 random codes in it. It could
make it 100. Make it 100. Yeah, just see what happens.
The best part is, even if you gave away 100, Sean, it wouldn't even put a dent into that.
I know. I know. I'll make it 500. Which is
hilarious. Yeah.
No, not 500. All right. That's all I got to say on that.
Anyways.
Just me with ideas and no time to do any of the things. You know?
Same here. I'm just not artistic, so I mean, you can't really count on me to do any of that stuff. But enough about that. Let's grab our 8 tracks, pop them in. It is time for the playlist. And Sean, I know that you probably don't have anything written here and probably don't have much to say, but I'm still going to ask you anyways, because I always ask you. Did you play anything?
Well, I will preface this to say that I hate when people say this, but I feel like I have nothing else that I can possibly explain this as I am playing something, but I can't talk about it. And I hate it. I hate saying that. That sounds so like just pretentious and crappy, but there is a game coming out, and apparently if you just like watch me on Xbox Live, you can see what it is, and apparently it's also on Discord. So I don't know where the rules are on this kind of thing. I don't know if I'm allowed to say, but very soon we will have coverage.
I was gonna say, you'll find out soon enough, because we're both in the same boat with this one.
Oh, it's the worst. It's such a douchey thing to say, like, I can't tell you guys what I'm playing. Like, that's so dumb. Anyways, but I am playing a game, and I'm excited to talk about it very, very soon, Ryan.
Well, you know what could be a worse move than you just saying that, Sean, is that me coming on and saying, yeah, I played a lot of Switch this week, because I played Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes. I talked about it last week. I finished it. I'm not going to dive into it here because it's a Nintendo game. Oh, really enjoyed my time with it, though. Thought it was really fun. I also played Mega Man The Wily Wars on Nintendo Switch Online, which is a Genesis game. So, again, just more Genesis talk, of course, on this podcast already. And then, last but not least, I did play one game on Xbox, besides the one we talked about earlier, and that is Outriders. So,
oh, yes.
I surprised Sean with this one, because I was like, Sean probably wasn't expecting to hear a message from me saying that I've been playing Outriders, because we talked about Outriders last year, and how I just really wasn't into the game. Like, I liked the demo for Outriders and really, like, dug into that, but just when the final game came out, for whatever reason or another, I don't know, I couldn't get into it.
Might have been the weather, Ryan. You should check in on what the weather was like at around that time.
It might have been that. But, so I was like, okay, well, I saw the new commercials for World Slayer, and I'm like, you know what? Maybe I should give Outriders a try again. Because I've got some time right now that I've finished Fire Emblem, and I don't have anything else really on the go at this point. And I didn't want to start like a new narrative experience just yet, because I've got some big RPGs coming up over the next couple of weeks, and I
sure do.
Want to start anything like that. So I wanted to have some dumb fun with the game, or just play like a live service game to kind of fill the void between those releases. And Outriders definitely fit that bill, Sean, because let me tell you what, I came around at least a little bit on this game. I still don't like the story. I still think the story is not great in Outriders, but I really enjoyed going back to Outriders. I basically started over with a brand new character. I instead of playing the Pyromancer, which is what I played last time, which I just wasn't having fun with that playstyle. I think that contributed a little bit to me not liking it. I played as the Techromancer this time around, which is like a long range class, which is more my style, because I'm more into like the long range, style in these types of games, in third person shooters like this one. And I enjoyed it way more than I did playing the Pyromancer, because I loved being able to freeze enemies in place and then pick them off with my sniper rifle. And yeah, I just love the blend of powers just so much more, even pulling out the rocket launcher or the chain gun and just going to town on enemies and stuff. Like, I really have enjoyed my time revisiting Outriders, to the point where I'm like, I have enough Xbox Rewards credits that I could just buy the expansion if I wanted it. So I still haven't finished, playing through the original Outriders yet, because you need to finish it in order to play the expansion content anyway. So I'm like, well, if I'm still craving more after I finished the base game, then I think I'm going to pick it up using my rewards credits. So stay tuned. Maybe on next week I'll be talking about how I pick up, Outriders World Slayer.
Yes.
But I've been really enjoying my time with it. And I think it's ready. It's time for me to admit, Sean, I was wrong about this.
Okay.
Wrong about Outriders. It's actually a good game, but the story still sucks. I still just don't care about it.
Okay, so I'm glad you came back to that, because I was going to ask you about it. Is it the story that you don't like, or is it the performances that are maybe a little cheese? Maybe a little bit of both, but I feel like the premise, and I've said this before, I feel like the premise of this is awesome. And even like this, what happened. So like the story and the plot points, I think, are amazing, honestly. But the main character is such a 80s action movie star. Just like, it's a little over the top in some cases. But I don't know. I don't know if you're conflating the two, if you mean to, like, is it the story that you really just like where they are, why they're there, like what they're doing, like how they came in with his powers?
I actually agree with you on the premise. I like the idea behind what they're doing. It's just, I just don't think the character interactions are at all interesting, and I don't like the individual characters themselves, including the main character. And again, to your point, it's very much like very 80s actiony, which I like 80s action movies, but I'm never watching those movies for the story. Yeah, and I feel that way about this game. So, but I'm pulled in because of the combat, because of the enemies that you fight, and some of the boss encounters I think were really cool. So that's more of what's drawing me into this game instead of the story. Which is why I just have to say that the story itself is not like, appealing to me in any way, shape, or form. To the point where now I'm like, do I even bother watching all these cutscenes? And I'm contemplating.
It's so good. From now on. Well, do whatever you want. It makes me think, for whatever reason, and maybe I'm completely out to lunch on this, but for whatever reason, I'm thinking like, wouldn't it be amazing if we had like a boots on the ground Command and Conquer kind of game? Because like the endless war that's happening on this planet and kind of the sci-fi nature of it, for some reason, is giving me Command and Conquer vibes. And I was always looking forward to StarCraft Ghosts, like just going from like these top-down real-time strategy games to more of like an action kind of experience. I think would be really, really interesting. So for whatever reason, that kind of came to mind. What a difference, though, and how many other people played Outriders and maybe just as the wrong, quote unquote, the wrong character style or whatever. Like that probably happened for a lot of people. Just didn't jive with them, and they kind of passed judgment on the entire game. So I'm glad that you went back to it. It's one of my like dark horses from last year. Like I say it and people groan that I like Outriders from last year. Like, really? Like, of all the games? Like, yeah, that one is pretty fun, dude. It's pretty good. Yeah.
Like, it was definitely, like, when we talked about our Game of the Year show, it was definitely not your top 3, but I remember you really liking it.
Yeah, man. So, I like Gears, though, too. Like, I mean, I talked about that a little bit last week. I'm still playing a little bit of Gears 4, just on casual, so just very quickly on that front. But, yeah, cover shooter with powers and, I don't know, runs great. Also, I was always surprised that you didn't love this game just given, like, the tier system. It's very maybe Diablo-esque even, of just ramp it up and get extra XP and get all the extra bonuses and loot that comes along with that.
I'm just only playing solo, Sean, and I'm almost maxed out on the world here.
See, there you go.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
But yeah, but the downside to that is that it can make it a little more, like, it's definitely geared for co-op play, and playing by yourself can be a little bit annoying at times. But,
yeah, I never did. Yeah, you're right. Some scenarios especially.
Yeah, but I like the flexibility of the world tier system when it comes to that, because if you're finding it too difficult, you can totally move it down if you want to, and then move it back up again when you're out of harm's way anyways, or out of a specific combat scenario. Because there were some combat scenarios where I found like I had to replay them, 8 to 10 times after dying. Right?
Well, on the top world tier, but yeah, sure.
Yeah,
which is
exactly.
Okay. Nice.
We're getting there. I'm not at the top yet. I think tier 16, I think, is the top one, and I'm tier 14 right now. So,
Ryan, I maybe it's not necessarily a game, but I played the Amazon Prime Day yesterday.
Of course you did. What did you pick up, my friend?
I might be just leaving Xbox altogether and PC gaming from now on, Ryan Turford.
What? You can't leave Xbox behind.
Well, I'm obviously not. I'm definitely not. Don't take that out of context. But I did buy myself a nice little video card and a gigantic monitor, and I'm quite excited about this, Ryan. I bought a video card that's so powerful that I need a new power supply unit for my computer for this thing. Like, what am I doing? Oh no. So I think the monitor's showing up later on today, but yeah, man, I think I'm going to be playing quite a bit more games here on this PC, because there's honestly not much more that I can even do to this thing aside from like trick it out with lights and whatever. But this, I got the 3080. I got it on sale. Actually, it was Best Buy. Best Buy showed up this week. By the way, not sponsored, but it was Amazon Prime Day. This thing came from Best Buy. So they had their own little like 3-day sale. Take that, Amazon.
Well, yeah, they
did
like Boxing Day in July or something like that, or something stupid like that.
It's no joke, man. They had like good prices on this stuff as far as that kind of stuff goes. So yeah, when it rains, it pours, Ryan, and I just hope to stay merry throughout this whole transformation.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, the only thing I'm curious about, though, Sean, is that aren't you a little bit worried because you do work in front of your computer that you're
1,000%.
Feel a little bit
I'm very worried. Yeah, very nervous.
Like you're going to always be in that one spot?
Very much so, yes. This could turn out to be one of the worst investments, particularly on the video card side. The monitor is like such a no-brainer as far as like I'm going to be looking at the screen in front of me that I'm looking at right now, like for, I don't know, 10 or 12 hours a day in some cases. So, yeah, it's another example of Lee Navarro from Phoenix Overdrive. I actually saw this monitor in person, and it is bonkers, dude. He was playing Microsoft Flight Simulator in Rome, New York at Extra Life, and people should DM me if you want to join us in Rome, New York. Raise the money for the kids. We do Extra Life live in person in Rome, New York. I'm going to be there. Last year, Lee had this, it's a 49-inch Samsung widescreen, like an ultra-wide monitor, and he had it running at like full 4K, like a gazillion frames a second, and it just was absolutely gorgeous. So I'm joining that there PC fun team. I don't like calling them what they call themselves.
Yeah, we're not going to call them that.
It's the PC fun team.
PC team of fun. Let's go. You're going to play some StarCraft on there.
Yeah,
and,
dude,
stuff like that.
That's exactly what I was just thinking this morning. I'm like, okay, what is the first thing I'm going to do to take this whole setup on its test run? I'm like, freaking StarCraft Brood Wars, man. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go.
Not even StarCraft 2.
Yeah. Or what you could do even, Sean, is you could boot up Command and Conquer Renegade, which is what you were talking about a little bit earlier, where you wanted like a boots on the ground Command and Conquer game, and that's what that game is.
I should try that.
It's a first-person shooter in the Command and Conquer universe where you've got like the nod bases versus the GDI bases.
Oh, dude, just saying those names like takes me back, man. Holy crap.
I actually like Command and Conquer a lot. I used to play. I was obsessed with Command and Conquer 3 on Xbox 360. Like me and my cousin Andrew, we used to play that game to death. Although I would play as the aliens from that game. I think they're called the Still or something like that. Yeah, it's some dumb name, but I remember really enjoying that game a lot. But
this is a little insight
from Middle Earth 2.
This This won't surprise you, Ryan, because you know how petty and stubborn I can get at some points. The first time I saw Command and Conquer 2 or Command and Conquer at all, it was after playing Warcraft. And in Command and Conquer, when you hover this is so nerdy, when you hover the cursor over like something, it's still a left click, whether you're like moving them or you're attacking something. But in Warcraft, it's a right click, and I hated that about Command and Conquer. I'm like, give me my right click, man. What is this? This game doesn't even know how to be an RTS. Come on, dude.
Well, you don't want to do everything with a left click. That's weird, Sean.
It seemed like a Mac thing.
Divide the buttons.
Exactly. Remember, like when Macintoshes only had like one button on the mouse? Like, come on, dude. We need two buttons. You need two buttons.
Exactly. Well, also, Sean, real quick, while we got a teensy bit of time as well.
Teensy.
Also, we played Fall Guys on Saturday as well,
Dude.
which was a ton of fun.
Oh my god, dude. Thank you so much for bringing it up, because I did bring it up on the Nintendo Drive yesterday, but the hallmark moment was Ryan I'm going to take your thunder here a little bit because I want to celebrate you a little bit. So we're on whatever the hell this thing was called. You're supposed to like race up this track and chase away from the slime, that if you touch the slime, you're going to die. Like that's it. And so I died pretty quickly. I was completely lost on this thing. But Ryan, as it turns out, had a really good handle on this. And once you are eliminated from a thing in Fall Guys, particularly in this case, you can just go like watch anybody else. So I could have watched anybody. By the way, we were playing with the community and had like 20 some odd people all playing together. It was one of the best times playing multiplayer ever. So I get eliminated on this match in Fall Guys, and I go watch from Ryan's perspective. I'm like, all right, let's just go see how Ryan tackles this thing. And we have captured one of the best performances of Fall Guys ever, man. You were so close. I feel like your toenail dipped in the slime. You were so close.
Twice. I was so close twice to just dying.
And then it's just like the ultimate comeback. So that basically means you're in last place. You are so last, you're almost like being kicked out by the slime. And then you stayed steady Eddie, Ryan Turford, and went past everybody else, came in first place in the whole thing. And have we got that clip up on YouTube yet, or are we putting it up on YouTube?
So it's up. We're finalizing some things before it goes live, but it should.
It is
probably
so good.
Soon, but probably tonight. You probably see that clip.
There you go, man.
It's very fancy.
It was a blast. It was super, super fun. I definitely think we're going to be doing more and more of this. Court Lalonde's in the chat, and hopefully he can remind me what we're renaming Halo Saturdays to. It's like super fun something. So yeah, dude, Fall Guys is probably going to be the community game on Saturday, switch.tv/Sean Capri. I had a blast playing with you, and I'm almost nervous to do it again because it was so good. Like, how could we do it any better than that?
Yeah, especially because like it's a good game or a better game in a lot of ways than Halo because we can just bring in more people.
Totally.
Anyone can play on any platform, and then it can have up to 60 people playing.
Yeah.
So I actually think that there's a lot of cool stuff.
Go Fall Guys, man. Welcome back.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's slam the brakes on this conversation, Sean, because it's time for some breaking news. And it was actually a really big week of news, just not
for
in the
everyone
world of
else.
Xbox. But we got some cool stories to talk about. Number one, this isn't really a news story per se, but it's a story that I think is really interesting for us to talk about, Sean. So Digital Foundry surprised us with this little video earlier this week where we've seen other videos from them playing around with the dev mode on Xbox Series X and S, loading things like RetroArch on it, which is an emulation platform. And RetroArch actually came out with a brand new core, an emulation core, for Windows 98.
Yes.
Which they loaded onto an Xbox Series X and did a whole bunch of tests with it. They basically installed Windows 98 on an Xbox Series X and played a whole bunch of games with it. And we got to see some great comparisons. We got to see how StarCraft runs on it, to the point, Sean, where you were so impressed with this video, you were like trying to chase down, how do I get a Windows 98 computer for my own house? Which
Dude,
I thought was hilarious.
I'm still getting notifications from eBay saying, like, this card is still available. Like, you want this Sound Blaster Live 5.1? Like, yeah, it's there. You want this 3DFX Diamond Monster Voodoo 2 with 12 megabytes of video RAM? That thing cost me $700 to buy back in the day. Got that in the US, by the way. So that was probably $1,000 graphics card that me and my brothers all pitched in together. Ryan, this thing probably, this news story that we're talking about right now is probably the reason for my monitor purchase and my graphics card. Like, suddenly my brain shifted into PC mode, which for anybody who's listened to me talk about video games for a long, long time knows that is actually my origin. As much as I'm into Xbox and console gaming now, especially with all the convenience and everything that it brings, we didn't have consoles growing up. Like, I was all over Windows 95, Windows 3.1 really, and all the way through. So when I saw this video, I'm like, it brings me back so much. So like all the settings and I could totally geek out about 98 gaming on PC in 1998. What a golden era of video games, Ryan Turford.
Yeah, absolutely. And for me, like PC gaming for me was a bit of a phase for me where I started playing console gaming. And then when I was in high school, I really got into PC gaming a whole lot, which, may or may not have come along with the idea that CD burners and, LimeWire became a thing.
Whereas,
I was really into it. But then when I got my PlayStation 1 and I played Final Fantasy 7 and a bunch of games there, I just totally fell off PC gaming again. And besides, playing StarCraft 2 competitively, because I was really into StarCraft in high school. And of course, when StarCraft 2 came out, I was super excited for it. But beyond that, I just haven't really ever been like a PC gaming person.
Oh,
because I just don't like the act of playing in front of a PC and sitting in front of my PC playing a game. Is just kind of how I have always felt about it.
Yeah.
But seeing this totally brought me back to, for the same reasons you talked about, because this was the era, because I'm an old man, of course. So when I was in high school, Windows 98 was the thing.
Yeah,
so
man.
all the games we were seeing in the videos were games that I was playing during that era.
Totally.
When I was really into PC games. So it was just so cool to see all that stuff running on Xbox. I see Captain Logan pointed out in the chat that he was a little bit disappointed by the performance and how, it wasn't as good as they were hoping for. And that makes sense, because I think that this core is very new and there's going to be a bunch of improvements being made to it. So we typically see that whenever there's a new emulation platform or that gets added, there always is tweaks done to it that always improve the performance. So I'm imagining, down the road, the performance will get much, much better.
Yeah.
But beyond that, I think that, it looked really cool and interesting. And I'm like, I was tempted to throw it on my Series S, because I do have a dev mode Series S, but I did see that you can't. There's no support for mice yet, so I'm like,
Yes.
I'm gonna wait until they add my mouse support first before I load that on there and try this out for myself. But
Yeah.
it seemed really cool. Like, I love this idea of trying like an old school Microsoft platform on Xbox. I think is like an amazing idea.
That video is so, I feel like it's almost like essential viewing for anybody who's at all interested. I think of somebody like TPR who didn't grow up in that era, but is interested in sort of like the history of games, and to see it brought forward in this way and explained in the mastery that is Digital Foundry. These guys are on a completely different level. It all totally makes sense to the point of the performance. They even explain like, why is that the case? I think that it's so great. And dude, it completely, to the point of like, I was thinking about the computer speakers I had as a kid growing up. Like Windows 98 might actually be my favorite Windows, as it turns out. Like, is that the best era of PC gaming I was playing? They had like shots of Unreal. Unreal is one of my favorite games of all time. Like, Half-Life was right in there. Star Siege Tribes was right in there. Oh my gosh, dude. So good. The Need for Speed games were great. Most Wanted back in those days. Man, so good. I don't know if I would install this on my with all that said, I don't know if I would install it on my Xbox, especially the fact that I have a PC. Captain Logan says XP was the best. It probably was, technically speaking. But like, man, the game's on 98. Damn.
I know. Yeah, I think you're probably right. Like, XP era games are
Probably
the best,
better.
especially for like real-time strategy games, stuff like that. Like, I think like that, because that's when we got stuff like Civ 4 or Lord of the Rings Battle for Middle-earth and stuff like that. So that's 2 Lord of the Rings Battle for Middle-earth references on the show.
There you go.
By the way. So there you go.
Good times, man. I love it.
Yeah.
Look at this little flashback.
Yeah.
What
there
else are
you
we
go.
gonna do on our Xboxes?
Well, we're gonna go buy physical copies of Psychonauts 2, Sean.
Nice
because
one.
Psychonauts 2 is getting a physical version on September 27th. I Am 8-Bit is handling the physical version and will include some goodies, including a set of stickers and art cards that comes with just the base version. Additionally, there's going to be a collector's edition that includes the original Psychonauts on a disc as well. It's going to have its own separate disc with its own case art and everything. Plus, it's going to have like a poster, a pin set, soundtrack, and a whole bunch of other goodies if you're into that stuff. I know a lot of people out there who are physical collectors, Sean, held off from playing Psychonauts 2 last year because they wanted a physical version of the game and there wasn't one available, especially people who play on PlayStation. So I actually think that this is a really big move for some people, where even though I think that the physical collectors are sort of a niche audience in Xbox land, I do think that this is a good move, and I think this is actually going to sell pretty well. We're already hearing reports from 8-Bit that this is like one of their highest selling releases for pre-orders. So I think a lot of people are going to be really into this. But what do you think about the idea of like a game coming out last year, Sean, and then a year later getting a physical release? Like, what do you think about that?
My first reaction really is that it kind of seemed weird, but at the same time, like, I'm not really the audience to really speak to it, to be honest. Like, I played the game on Game Pass. I'm a Game Pass day one person. Like, I don't have any games on Xbox Series X and very, very few even on Xbox One. So like, I don't know. Like, but I guess for anybody who's kind of clamoring for that sort of thing, it doesn't seem like it matters, the timing of it. And it's always kind of funny to me too. It's obviously not an indie game, but every now and then when a smaller game gets a physical release, it's like, wow, like they really made it. Like they got a physical edition, and it's just funny how backwards it is these days versus it was special. It used to be special to get a digital version of the game and another option to buy it. But here we are. I wish that I missed a steelbook. Was there the only thing that's physical here?
No, there's a lenticular cover on it, but there's no steelbook.
Yeah, steelbook would be cool. But otherwise, like if it's just a physical release, it doesn't float my boat. But a steelbook would be cool, man, because that game is great. At the very end of the day, that game is so good. So any extra love that it gets, another like little boost and shot into the scene, is really good.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. Especially because like we're gonna probably start seeing stories like this creep up a lot more now that I Am 8-Bit's getting into the Xbox game. Now that Limited Run is publishing its very first set of Xbox titles later this year.
Yep.
I love to see more of this stuff. Even though we talked about it last week on the show, how I'm also in the same boat where I don't collect physical like Xbox Series X and Series X games for the reasons I talked about last week, where you're not even really getting the full game on the disc anyway, so why even buy it that way?
Yep.
But I can definitely understand the mindset for those who want to collect this stuff, especially with that hubbub that was created this week, Sean. I don't know if you saw the story on the PC side of things, where Assassin's Creed Liberation's being delisted from Steam.
Oh my gosh, no kidding.
And then as part of it, they announced that you couldn't play the game anymore after the game got delisted.
Yeah.
To the point where Ubisoft had to come out and say, no, that's a mistake. You can still play it again. But just, it sparked up a lot of conversations again about, how much ownership you really have about digital games.
Yeah.
So I do love that the people that are worried about that at least have an option if they want to purchase the games.
Well said. Yeah, and I can't remember. It might have been actually Captain Logan who's in the chat here, I think, responding to somebody on Twitter that I saw that, like, that's true in the traditional sense, in that, like, you would put a cartridge in, that cartridge would play. I'm curious to know, like, how much that holds true in the future. Yeah, I think you were talking to Kyle Stevenson from the Trophy Room, Captain Logan. Because essentially the disc is more of like an unlock key. And I think Court was saying this too on the PlayStation Drive as well, that like, is the game itself on there? Like, I do think that physical games represent something different now than they used to. But at the same time, like, none of us really know what to do with this stuff. Part of me wonders, in my own sense, like I look back to the games that I had on Windows 98 that we were just talking about. Like, I wish I had that disc ready. I wish I had that old PC that we had ready to go so I could just like get back into it. But at the exact same time, I've spent the last few decades not even thinking about that stuff or wanting to play it. So from a truly practical standpoint, I don't need all of this stuff. And that's kind of what I've just accepted by going digital, is if one day they decide that I can't play those games, then when was the last time that I played them? But when I get a little sentimental. So I can definitely see both sides. I'm definitely sitting on the fence on this, but it's a tough one, man.
Yeah, sometimes you just get the urge to play, to pull out a copy of, I don't know, like American Gladiators on the Super Nintendo. So, and
Totally.
I'm glad that
That's
I've
what I
got
was
it on
gonna
my
say.
shelf for whenever that occasion arises, Sean, or whenever I want to play
Or Willy
Bubsy,
Beamish.
I have-
Willy Beamish on PC gaming, man. Let's go.
Yeah. Or even, something like Lufia 2 with the Rise of the Sinistrals, which isn't available on any digital platform anywhere, but it's available on my cartridge that's on my shelf. So it's just like, yeah, there's some stuff to consider, but that was of course before the era where everything was digital.
Yeah.
Whereas we have a little bit less to worry about now. Plus, Microsoft has always shown us in the past, anyways, that because even with 360 stuff, when stuff gets delisted, you can still download all that stuff, and it's not a problem.
Because you own it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm expecting that that's going to always be the status quo for Microsoft.
It's a fair statement. I mean, I buy physical on Switch, but not for that reason at all. It's mainly just because it's a pain in the butt to share that with 3 Switches in the house. So
yeah,
a little bit different, just case by case scenario for me. But yeah, a little bit of a hubbub about that this week for sure.
For sure. And I mean, I'm even buying a physical Switch game next week, Sean, because Live Alive is out, and I'm very excited to pick up my physical copy of that. So
is that next week already? What the heck?
Next Friday.
Oh my gosh.
And then the Friday out, and then the week after that, it's Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Because I've got the collector's edition of that coming.
And then after that, Bayonetta 3 is going to come out and get a 65 on Metacritic or OpenCritic, and the Trophy Room guys can just...
That game's getting a 92, Sean. We're doomed.
No, we're not. No, that game is not going to be good. I'm counting it right now.
You know,
Mark
you want
my
to lock
words.
it in right now, Sean? Because I'm actually pretty sure that game's going to get like a 90 plus.
90 plus? Are you out of your mind? No, lock it in. Okay, we got it. It's not even Xbox related at all, but we got to have some sort of stakes here. Hey, did you play Farming Simulator yet? Speaking of stakes.
Moving on to our next news story, Ubisoft has re-revealed Skull and Bones with a release.
This has nothing to do with Farming Simulator.
It got a full Ubisoft kind of showcase, showing off some of the stuff you get to do in the game, such as gathering resources and taking down enemy ships and stuff like that. So we got a good look at the game, but we got the release date for it. It's coming to Xbox Series X and S on November 8th. And I don't know if you knew this, Sean. There's a little game coming out the next day called God of War Ragnarok. I don't know why they timed it like this, but Skull and Bones, November 8th. Please be excited. So, we talked about this a little bit on the show last week, Sean, but did you watch the presentation for this?
I actually didn't, and I feel ashamed to say that. I think it is interesting that release date being a day before, looping it back to Bayonetta. So what you're saying is when a game comes too closely to another game, then maybe it might suffer. Well, Bayonetta is coming right around the time of Mario and Rabbids, so I think that Nintendo knows exactly what's up. It's trying to get that game out and forget about it, so suck it, Trophy Room, and suck it, everybody else. Who thinks that game's gonna be good? I just turned into like Degeneration X from like 2001 wrestling. I do want to check this thing out though. I am like, dude, October and November are going to be an absolute nightmare for anybody trying to keep up with anything. This is probably not the best timing, but I got to watch it because I don't really have an impression here to share. But I like Ubisoft games, man. I want to see what they've got in store for us.
Yeah, this is one where I'm like, I talked about it last week before we talked about the announcement, where I'm like, everyone knows I don't like pirate stuff, but I like the ship combat in Assassin's Creed. So, and what they showed here, they showed a whole bunch of live servicey kind of elements to this, where you're going to be getting a bunch of resources and stuff. So it seems interesting. So this is one where I'm like, I kind of want to try this, but I don't know if I want to spend full price for it, day one.
Yeah, you have 24 hours before we're all playing God of War Ragnarok.
Exactly. So it's just one of those things where with this one it might be a wait for sale kind of thing.
So you don't like peanuts or pirates? Peanut butter or pirates?
No. I don't hate peanuts.
Sorry. Peanut butter.
We got a question about that later. We're gonna
Okay.
Yeah. But moving on, past Skull and Bones, we got one last thing in this news. Sean got me very excited. So during the NanCon Direct, which is like a smaller publisher, they publish a bunch of games. This isn't even RPG news, Sean.
I'm just kidding.
So during the NanCon Direct, they announced Robocop Rogue City, which is a Robocop licensed first-person shooter from the team that made Terminator Resistance, and it's going to have Peter Weller lending his likeness to the game, as well as he's going to be voicing the character, providing all new lines for Robocop.
His likeness to the character Robocop.
Well, you have to remember the last time we got a Robocop game, Sean, was when the Robocop reboot came out. Like that newer Robocop.
I know, but like, What likeness? Like his mouth?
Well, his face.
His chin?
His face. No, when he takes because RoboCop sometimes takes the helmet off.
Oh, I guess we'll see. It's just,
They showed
it's
it
just
in
funny.
the trailer.
Okay.
They showed it in the trailer. It's his face.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Just poking fun at the fact that mostly for RoboCop, you see like a little chin. You see less of him than Batman.
For sure. Well, the game comes out on Xbox Series X and S only. It's not a current gen game.
Exclusive.
It's coming out June 2023, so June of next year.
Oh wow. Yep.
I've talked about it on the show many times though. Terminator Resistance, Sean, is actually like a really underrated game for me. It's a game that didn't review well when it came out because it was full of a bunch of bugs and glitches and issues that have all been patched out.
Yep.
And I think it's actually a really, really good Terminator game. So seeing that team do a RoboCop game now and seeing the trailer for it and it looking like the combat is going to be really fun.
That's awesome. That gets me
and
hyped.
I like RoboCop a lot. I can't wait for this game. I think it looks awesome.
Shooting everybody in the privates, Ryan. Everybody gets a shot in the groin, man. This game, actually, the Terminator game you mentioned is on my PS5. It's on my to-do list. It's in my tournament bracket. I'll get to it eventually. It reminds me, too, while we're talking about all this 80s and Terminator stuff, did you see the thing that there's going to be a Terminator? Is this a rumor or an announcement that there's going to be a Terminator open world game coming out at some point?
That's actually the next part of the story as well, because there's more to it.
Please.
So additionally, during the showcase, they announced a survival game based off the Terminator franchise coming in 2024. And this is supposed to be like Alien Isolation, but Terminator, which, again... That's a great idea.
That's awesome.
I'm stoked for that. Mm-hmm. It reminds me of like the idea of them of Ben and Namco doing Dragon Ball The Breakers, where you're hiding from these super overpowered characters.
Yep.
So you're gonna do that, but in the Terminator franchise, like yes, please
Yeah.
sign me up. That sounds awesome. So,
dude, honestly, like I could take even like a Dragon Ball game that's like Pokemon Go, where I'm just gonna go find some Saiyans in a freaking field somewhere and go fight them. Just pow 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 pow, right on my screen. I get it all in my head with this. I'm a child. What is wrong with me?
A little bit. But the Namco Direct, I think we got some really good stuff there. They also announced, a bunch of release dates for other things they've got coming out this year as well. So we're not going to go through everything, but I think they've got some promising stuff coming up, and I've got my eyes on some of this stuff. So I can't wait.
Nice, man.
Yeah. Well, let's let some of our friends into the car with us, Sean. It is time for the carpool. And going back to what you were asking before, Blaze Knight asked a question for me specifically, apparently. Why is creamy the best type of peanut butter, Ryan? And the answer is, it's not. They're both mid because
mid
no peanut butter is good peanut butter. No, I'm actually, to be honest, Sean, I'm actually more in the Console Cato camp when it comes to peanut butter. No. We don't need it.
I don't know what the heck is the matter. Like, what is the matter? Like, who hurt you? Like, what was happening when you had a peanut butter and jam sandwich once upon a time? Like, who doesn't love a good peanut butter and jam sandwich? Come on, man. Don't, apparently, Ryan Turford. I don't know, man.
But the thing is, Sean, and I don't know if you knew this, but when Kato used to come by, when I used to do like Xbox live streams on this channel, she would come by and like we'd talk about food choices, and her and my taste buds are actually pretty similar because we both talked about how we love Dr. Pepper and Whataburger and a bunch of like American restaurants. So it's just like I think her and I are in sync with a lot of this stuff, and it just makes sense. Don't like peanut butter.
You're entitled to your opinion. It's obviously wrong, and I mostly just have sympathy and compassion for however you got hurt to end up this way. I'm very sorry. Right?
Sometimes, Sean, with life, we just got to move on. We got to move on. With
peanut
things.
butter is
moving
perfect.
on to TPR's question. It's a long one, Sean, so brace yourself for this one. So TPR first off says, I wanted to update you both on my first time Halo progress. After completing Halo Combat Evolved in Halo 2 from the Chet Master Chief Collection, I moved on to Halo 3, playing on Heroic, almost 7 of 11 missions in, and 2 positive things stand out for me. 1, how Cortana is utilized in the game. You won't elaborate any further for the folks that haven't played it. And 2, the grand scale of the events in the game. I find myself looking up from the battlefield feeling so tiny compared to all the events that happen around me. Even as Chief, it is kind of awe-inspiring. Currently riding in a Scorpion trying to find someone called the Cartographer.
Yes!
What's your favorite non-spoilery bits? Halo 3.
Of Halo 3. Oh, man.
Halo 3 specifically.
I don't know if I can top that part. I feel like that's the one. I feel like the cliche answer is to say the ending. But I actually, honestly, I don't even love the ending all that much in Halo 3. Like definitely not as much as everybody else. Everybody loves it. I think that might be my peanut butter moment.
Yeah, probably. But I think first of all, one of the best things about the Halo 3 is the fact that it has the Flood in it. You know, the best enemies in Halo. First of all, even though the Gravemind sucks, but I like the Flood a lot. You know, Flood's great.
Terrible. Terrible.
But it's a lot of the stuff, honestly, TPR talked about, where I love kind of the really big epic moments in Halo 3, because the moments that feel epic in that game just feel epic. Like, I loved riding around the African desert, riding around on the grunt motorcycle. I can't remember what it's called. But with the piano version of the Halo theme in the background, like, I love moments like that with these sweeping landscapes and stuff like that. Like, I loved a lot of moments from Halo 3 that, again, I'm just not going to spoil here because not everyone's played Halo 3.
Yeah.
TPR as an example. So, Sean, I'm going to go to you. Do you have anything to add to this? What do you think?
It gets into spoiler territory, but I think the cartographer is so good, man. I don't know how far TPR is into this or anybody else who hasn't really played. Like,
it says 7 of 12 missions. 7 of 11 missions so far.
I just feel like it also hints to like Destiny. You see a lot of Destiny in Halo for sure, and that gets in there as well. So I will leave it at that. I will say I actually prefer Halo 2, I think, to Halo 3. I don't remember if we've ever done a ranking of this.
I don't think we've done a ranking, but we've talked about it on the show a bunch of times. Because likewise, we've talked about Halo 5 a bunch of times on the show too, and where that kind of ranks. So
that's right.
Yeah. But let's also bring in Brian S. with the final question of the week. And there are some spoilery bits in this question about the first Mass Effect. So just FYI before we talk about this. So Brian S. asks, I'm currently playing Mass Effect 3 for the very first time in the Legendary Collection, and I am hooked. In light of that, Mass Effect Quickfire. So, Sean, here's the set of quickfire questions about Mass Effect. So, first thing that comes to your head when I say, which character race is your favorite and why, Sean? Go.
The Drell.
Go ahead.
It's because of the, like Thane kind of just does his weird, blackout moments, and he's super stealthy and super cool. I really like him. That's my answer.
I like the Quarians because they're a bunch of space dorks.
That is a good answer, dude. How can you even pick? It was just the first thing that came to mind. They're all, dude. Mass Effect. Let's geek out about Mass Effect. Holy crap!
It's real good. Favorite playable character in the original trilogy?
In the original, I'd probably just say Shepard.
Yeah, I mean, I never switched to any of the other characters to play as them.
I don't think I did either.
Only Shepard. I will say. Favorite party members being Tali and Liara are my favorite.
Oh, you love Ashley. Come on.
I do like Ashley a lot,
bigot.
but I sub her in from time to time. Yeah. Next up, rely on bionic / tech abilities or guns blazing. So
bionic, 1,000. Dude, force push these guys away, everything. Lift them up into the sky. And, oh, my gosh. Yes. Bionic all the time.
My usual class is the Sentinel, which is the blend of bionic and tech, and not good at combat at all. So, there you go. That's all you need to know. Paragon or Renegade?
Renegade, 1,000%. Punch that journalist right in the face.
Renegade, 1,000% as well. Kick that dude out the window.
Yeah, you can fix those scars later. There's a surgery for that. Don't worry about it. Although that's maybe Mass Effect 2, I think.
That is Mass Effect. Well, the scars don't happen until Mass Effect 2.
That's true.
Yeah. Fem-ship or male-ship?
I always played as male Shep, but I got to go back as Fem Shep. You gotta appreciate Jennifer Hale on that front.
Fem Shep's way better. But Jennifer Hale is so much cooler than Mark Beer.
I'm trying to remember. Maybe I did do Fem Shep for the last one when I played it in Legendary Edition. I think I might have. That was all last year, so I can't be asked to remember that sort of thing, Ryan.
Yeah. Who you romancing, Sean?
Oh, I mean, Miranda is so obvious. But yeah.
But you can't romance Miranda if you only play as Fem Shep like I do. So for me, if I'm playing as male Shep, it's Tali.
I've romanced Tali before. That's weird. I feel like I might kill her.
But as Fem Shep, it's always Liara. Always.
Oh, interesting. Oh yeah.
And then last up, wipe out the Rachni or save the Queen, Sean.
Oh, wipe them out. Get rid of them. Don't even give them a chance. Absolutely not. No. Definitely
wipe
not.
Them out.
Wipe them out. Save Rex and his friends, but no. Those guys, those
Please,
insects.
there's no I usually just leave him at the elevator in the Citadel where he just waits forever for me to say he can join my crew. And then he just dies. And then he dies in the Citadel attack because he just keeps standing in that elevator.
Save the queen, you monsters. No, this is about as close to the Flood as Mass Effect gets. And yeah, get rid of them forever and ever for all eternity. Amen.
But I like the Flood. Flood, they're great, Sean.
There.
Anyways, we got to get going. But before we go, Sean, plugs go.
You can find me on Twitter and on Twitch at Sean Capri. It's Sean like Connery. Capri like the pants. We've got the best merch in the world, so click on the links and buy your merch right now. And I think that might be it. I think we had a lot of fun today, Ryan. I enjoyed it. Yeah, this was good.
Me too. Well, as for me, you can find me on Twitter at Ryan Turford. You can find us on Twitter at Carpool Gaming, on YouTube at youtube.com/Carpool Gaming, on podcast services around the globe. So, for Sean Capri, I'm Ryan Turford. This has been episode 249. Only one more episode before 250 of the Xbox Drive. And we out. Bye.
Ryan Turford and I have literally spent the last couple of weeks talking about what are we going to do for episode 250. We keep saying we'll come up with something later on, and all of a sudden now it's going to be like 7 days away. And what the heck are we supposed to do? We need ideas. Please email us at thexboxdrive@gmail.com. I think that I can actually answer those emails. Leave comments in the YouTube videos. I appreciate every single one of you. Bye.
Greater than X.